अब दो और चालू करें.
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
If you're seeing the video version of this, you know I'm beaming ear to ear because my old friend Vinay Pathak is here. What's up, Vinay? Good to see you, brother.
I'm still your friend. Don't call me old.
We had a mutual understanding saying no references to age at all.
Yes.
Given that we're both millennials.
Yes. And we're with it these days, aren't we?
Yo, man.
Yes.
Listen, this is wonderful. Chappad Phaad Ke is on Hotstar. It's you doing what you're really good at. You've nailed this middle class thing, man. I mean, not to say that you can't do other stuff.
Right.
You are what they say, what one would call a harfan mola.
Yes.
But, you know, this is stuff that you could do with your eyes shut.
But no. But it's a huge jump for me also. I mean, coming from a very lower class and raising up to the middle class, I'm still yearning for the upper class. Hopefully one day. And Hotstar is my staircase to the upper class. Right, Hotstar? Oh, yeah. But I wanted to tell you on a serious note that this is the first exclusive feature film Hotstar is going to stream.
Oh, that's quite amazing. Because I know there have been these original series, OTT series, but the first standalone feature, which is quite amazing, which is quite remarkable. So, in the middle class milieu, this is a righteous man who obviously wants to return money that has been chanced upon.
Right? How we're told that if it's not your money, it's not your money. Return it to whoever it belongs to. Compared to the newer generation, is like my money is my money, and your money is also somewhere my money. There was a play a long time ago I had seen called Other People's Money. It's a very famous play, and it talks about how money changes your basic spine, how money changes your conscience, how money changes so many things around it, and how you start to become another person, not necessarily just stumbling upon money. I mean, you were making 50,000 rupees a month, and then you progress and you start to make 5 lakhs rupees a month. It changes you, and without you realizing it, how it starts to change you. So there is a bit of that in the soul of this story, but it's quintessentially a story of a middle class Marathi family in Pune, and they stumble upon a treasure like that, and the whole belief system is at risk, is at question, not just for the family, but the society that they belong to. And it's a very today's story.
That's my next question to you. My father's 76, my mother's 72. I know you have tremendous love. I mean, you there are times when you feel your father is around you. I see pictures on Instagram and this and that, and your mom is so adorable. Do you feel, and my father says this to me often, that our freedom fighters were selfless? They did it out of selflessness. And the term, and even in the West, there was this whole Woodstock era of everything being about peace and love and not about greed. And then sometime in the 80s, we saw that popular culture change. You see films like Wall Street where, Gordon Gekko, Michael Douglas's character, says greed is good. And greed is good became the byline for society. Finders keepers. You found the money, it's yours. Do you think that old school sentiment is necessary now more than ever before? The sentiment of your parents and my parents?
I'm glad you asked this question because I have a take on it. I think that our parents and our generation, post-independence, in my opinion, again, it's individualistic, has been the most corrupt generation till date.
So,
having said that, I think that the generation after our generation and the generation after that, I think they're evolving for the better. I speak to my children, I speak to people in the generation after us, and there's a certain clarity as in whatever is it that they want. And by hook or crook used to be a saying in our times. It's not there anymore, Hrishi, and I find it very promising. I'm very hopeful that today's generation has a clarity thanks to whatever it is, thanks to the technology, and thanks to just by the virtue of being in today's generation, they're evolved, they're born evolved. They don't need days and months to learn how to, work technology. There's something in the DNA
The
that has
gene
shifted.
coding is smarter.
Yes,
Yeah.
the gene coding is smarter. So I feel that there is hope, for all the things that we have struggled with in our society. I think the newer generation is.
And I see that even in politicians' children. I'm not saying you have to go abroad, but some of them have been sent abroad by their fathers, and they worked as janitors, and they worked in McDonald's and things like that, and they've come back with a renewed respect for the working class, which could easily happen if you travel into the interiors of India also.
The work ethic has changed, Rishi. I mean, the last 10, 15 years, ever since we had started to come here seeking work, today the work ethic has changed completely. You go to the malls, you go to all the younger people who are working. You can't, earlier it was like, what family you come from. You whatever you wear somewhere exudes the class you belong to, a middle class or a lower class or working class or an upper class. But it's fading, it's thinning. I'm not saying it's completely gone, but it's thinning. It doesn't matter what car you've stepped out of, or have you taken the train to come to work. It's like now those gaps are thinning, and I think it's a good thing.
Okay, the beauty about a Vinay Pathak performance is it not just rests on Vinay Pathak himself, it rests on fine actors around. And you're surrounded by a few of them. I remember seeing this boy, the Menon boy in Aladdin, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. He's
And
very good.
it's really fresh.
Yeah.
He brought a new approach to it. He's got a naughty little charm to him. He's there. Ayesha Raza, who's now Mrs. Kumud Mishra,
Yes.
is another one who's done so much theatre,
Fantastic.
enriched.
Yeah.
And there's also another girl, Sheetal Thakur, is it?
Sheetal Thakur, yes.
So
She's the newbie.
filming with them in Pune, and the fact that they can react to your extraordinary acting prowess.
Rishi, I had been very lucky because all these three actors are very fine actors, and it took us no time to become an ensemble. We started hanging out together, we started having our lunches, our dinners, going to movies together. Pune mein aaj thali peet khane chalte hain, and all of that, and all of us are foodies. Siddharth is from Pune, so he became our guide, and it was great fun. It was great fun, and as I said, I feel very fortunate and lucky because they took no time wanting to become the ensemble that we all had wanted to create before we start to get into the thick and thin of the plot. And it was a joy from the beginning till the end. It was great fun.
I love the middle class milieu. I remember seeing so many films, whether it's Golmaal in the past. More recently, Habib made a film with the Kapoors, which is called Do Duni Char, which is another beautiful film. And this is
Khosla
this
Ka
remi-
Ghosla.
yeah, of course, which you were a part of, and it looks as though you love that. You feel really at home with that stuff.
Because I think what I feel that even in majority, most of us still are middle class. Unless you hit that bracket where there's just 5% are the upper elite class. And they say about middle class, always wanted, they want to be upper class. But somewhere deep down, you don't want to shock those values. Somewhere deep down, you want your, middle class conflicts. You want your, competition within the siblings. You want your, cousin ka ye ho gaya, falana cousin ka ki shadi hai, I have to attend, it's my sister. Only in the middle class, they call a cousin, she's my sister. Yes. But you don't have any sister. Arey, my cousin's sister, she's like my sister only.
So what is his profession? What is his profession in the film?
This man?
Yeah, this man.
He's a clerical kind of a guy. He has a government job, and he also aspires to be in politics because he has been a very
He's a reformist.
correct.
Yeah.
A prime activist in the Shakha that he has another leader, and he knows that he's corrupt, and that's not how things are, and see how the times are changing, achhe din aayenge, and he's that idealist, that righteous man. And how
And Sid Menon, the son, thinks that his dad is a bit of a dunce and needs to make more money.
right and Sid Menon's character is the one, he's a reflection of his own father without the duties of being the righteous middle class man. So he's exactly like his father, but they of course they don't believe it until situation hits them and make them face to face.
Beautiful. And is Ayesha the troubled wife or the nagging wife?
Aisha's character is very interesting. Actually, she is the mediator amongst all three. She's the one who's trying to hold things together. And the other three have their own thing, but the woman in the house, she's a beautiful character she has. That with the son, with the daughter, with the husband, because she's torn between, because she loves all of them and she doesn't want to take a stance because there is a fight among them, for the money. I shouldn't give away.
Yeah, it's not a spoiler, but how much money do they discover? Would you have a fix on the amount?
I think around 5 crores. Yeah. And 5 crores is lots of money.
Lots of money.
I mean, I don't know about other people, but for me, it still is a huge amount of money. Me, Vinay Pathak, yes, and I'm claiming it on air. It's a huge amount of money. So for somebody who cannot fathom having 5 crores in their kitty after their lifetime, working, in a government job in a middle class family, it's a huge amount of money. It changes the plethora of their imagination, what they could be with that money. And that's where the serpent of desires seep in and start to.
So Sheetal is the daughter.
Sheetal is the daughter, Sid Menon is the son, and Aisha and I are the couple. And it's how a sweet, idealistic, God-fearing family go dysfunctional.
So I don't know much about your director, Sameer Joshi. You're going to have to fill me in.
Sameer Joshi, it's his first Hindi film. He has made some very interesting Marathi films before this. And when I met him, he had just an idea and a rough sketch of what this is. And then we got on to talking, and I like that. I like that process with the team, with the writer, and then we met 2-3 times. We hung out, we ate together, we had coffee, we had drinks, and then we spoke more about how we could make it today. How, because it was a story about, what if something happens like that, and then he brought in so many things that's happening around us today. It makes it really, really an interesting watch.
Okay, let's just look at other aspects of your wonderful career. The fact that Nothing Like Lear is doing so well, you're still traveling with it. Does the audience's reaction still surprise you? I know there have been standing ovations in every single city, but is there still a surprise? Is there still a chill down the spine?
It's so funny you bring it. I just came back yesterday from Bangalore, and Sunday night we had a show at Jyoti Niwas. The auditorium was filled with new people, Hrishi. 50% of them came backstage and said, this is the first ever play we've seen. And that's the wonderful thing about Bangalore also, and today's generation, that they're going out and they want to not just see movies, they want to see a stand-up, they want to go to an art gallery, and they want to come and watch theatre. And it was just astounding for me, because for me it's suddenly new set of audiences whose questions are different, Hrishi, whose inquisitions and queries are completely different that I could never have thought of. Because earlier they would say, oh, how did you prep? And, how much of Shakespeare did you bring in? And how did you... Today they have a completely different set of questions. And they're like really humbling. It's like, okay, so 1.5 to 2 hours you're on stage. What if you forget your lines? And I'm like, wow, nobody asked me this. And it has happened to me a couple of times, and how terrifying it is, because there's nobody else to give me cues, because I'm all by myself. But it's really humbling to interact with the new audience.
Lovely. And there's a Bangla film. It's called Mithin Masi.
Mithin Masi. I just found
out. How good is your Bangla, first of all? I mean, I'm sure. Did they get you to dub for it, or are you playing a non-Bangla?
I dubbed it myself. আমি একটু বাংলা বলতে পারি.
So do you play a non-Bengali in the film?
I play a non-Bengali in the film, but I like 80% of my conversation is in Bengali. It's a very interesting film. You know how Bengal is obsessed with detective stories. Right. And Byomkesh keeps coming back every year. They have one version of Byomkesh. This is like, Byomkesh, or like the detective character, but a female. Feluda and Byomkesh meets together, and Mithin Masi is that housewife, again middle class housewife, but sharp, and she's the detective.
And everybody who works in Tollygunge says they have these wonderful conversations.
Yeah.
You know, it's really the place where you go and enrich yourself. Also as a human being.
Yeah. I had a great time. I'm a human being, and if you love food, I mean, you don't need to go anywhere else. You just need to go to West Bengal. Yeah.
And all those British Raj clubs, the Tollygunge Club and the Saturday Club. And
6 Polygunge Place is where we had most of our lunches and dinners.
I can see your face.
You
can go back.
And in the most Brit way, you have the authentic Bengali platter right in front of you, and delicious. I had a great time, and I'm glad you asked. Thank you very much. The film is a super hit, by the way. It came out on the 2nd of October, on Pujo Day, just before Pujo Day. And the producer-director called me yesterday like, Dada, super hit hoye gache. I said, congratulations, that's great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your bong is really good. So, and Dust, which is the short film, also went to Berlin.
Dust actually is a full-length feature.
It's a full-length feature.
It's a full-length feature.
I'd be damned. I thought it was a short.
It's a full-length feature, and again, made by a first-time filmmaker of Indian descent. But she studied her filmmaking in Berlin, so her film entered Berlinale as a German film.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, because it was a Indo-German collaboration, the production. She shot most of the film in Indore and the outskirts of Indore. It's a true art film. They don't make films like these anymore, and it was really delight. I had never been a part of a true art film. I thought the art film era has finished by the time we came. But
and when you say art film, you mean like Govindji and Sham Babu's films, you know? Manthan and Ankur and things like that. Wow.
It's quite. And
what does it deal with? I mean, what's the subject?
It talks about Naxal movements in the B towns, and how it has become the way of life for the downtrodden and people who are struggling to find means, and how their only hope is that idealism, and how that idealism kind of mislead them. There's a line that Shakespeare wrote that these are the plague of our times, where the madmen are leading the blind men. So it's exactly like that. Lovely film. Great reception at Berlinale. I remember also because Gully Boy was also part of the same festival, and we had no Indian audience, and it was filled with people. My first ever major festival, red carpet and green carpet and all of that. But for me, the excitement was to meet the genuine cinema pundits. And you don't know their faces. They just come up and they ask you about the cinema, the time and space that you bring that storytelling from, and why and how, and it was just amazing.
And Chintu Ka Birthday seems to be something that's really close to your heart.
Yeah,
I mean, when you tweet about it or when you post about it, I can almost feel the emotion and pride while you're typing it. You play Chintu's dad, is it?
Yeah, I play Chintu's dad, and I mean, you've known me from my childhood here in this industry. I have been very fortunate and lucky to be associated with friends and some wonderful artists. Satyanshu and Devanshu are these brothers who have written this film, and they've been prepping this film for the last 7-8 years. And they chose me and Tilotama and Simaji and this little boy Chintu to be a part of this fantastic tale. And it's funny, it's poignant, it's heartbreaking, and all of that together. So yeah, it's playing in Worli tonight, in some Deepak cinema today. We couldn't get a release because it was a small film. We're still hoping that we'd find a release, but we are trying to get as many people to see the film as we could.
Yeah, and eventually it will get onto an OTT platform, which is amazing.
Yes.
You know, enough people will go ahead and see it. I know in your mind there's no demarcation. I mean, you only mention art cinema because you wanted to describe to me the kind of film it was. But in your mind, whether you're doing commercial cinema or art cinema, it's about the part. I mean,
it's about the story. It's about how am I telling the story.
But it must feel beautiful when a mainstream film like Lukka Chuppi, the volumes of people who see it, you know? I mean, that's wonderful. I mean, you could walk into Lucknow or you could go to Calcutta and people would say, you know, Lukka Chuppi was cool.
Yeah. They still do. I mean, Lukka Chuppi and Rab ne bana di jodi. And I think I have done so many other films, yeah. But it's Luka Chippy, Rab ne bana di jodi, Bheja Fry, and then comes sometimes Chalo Dilli and Das Vidania, because they were commercially successful. But when you talk about a mainstream commercial real deal cinema, it's Luka Chippy and Rab ne bana di jodi. And I'm glad that people associate me with mainstream also sometimes. But yeah, for me, it's the film and the story. Yeah.
Lovely. We shall not name the other platform, but the fact that you're working with Mona Singh, again, a delightful girl, isn't she? She's wonderful, isn't she?
Yes. We have worked together earlier also, and we again came together to do this short film, and we had a great time. I also think that
has she called you home and cooked for you? She threatens to do that with me, but
can I tell you something? I'm the cook in any combination when it happens. Okay, so even if Mona is a great cook, I'm the one who end up cooking eventually at my place.
Ranveer Shorey has, with all his good offices, impressed upon me that you are indeed a good cook. So your reputation has preceded you.
The only problem is I'm a vegetarian, and lots of people just frown and
you don't even cook non-veg.
I don't.
Okay,
no.
you cook what you eat.
I don't cook. Yeah.
Fair enough. And is that a health thing or is that just a belief thing?
I've been a vegetarian for a very long time. I used to eat meat, and I've been the happiest. So it's the happy thing. It has nothing. My children eat everything that they want to, but I like being a vegetarian. I like myself. When I eat vegetarian food, it makes me happy.
I'll tell you another reason why you can pat yourself on the back, and I have to thank you, is because whenever I've met you, you've always impressed upon me the beauty of having two daughters, and today I am the father of two daughters.
Where you go, Hrishi K?
And I've always heard you, every time I met you, you've said, I have these two beautiful daughters.
There's nothing like that.
There's nothing like that.
Nothing like that.
It totally resonates with me.
The world.
We didn't even have a name ready for a boy, and we said, "Will we have a boy?" No, we won't have a boy. It's just beautiful.
You've just found yourself the key to a treasure of happiness, Hrishi K. I'm telling you. And
how are the girls doing? Are they showing any signs of getting into media? Or are they different?
The older one is a literature buff. She's into music and writing and reading. The younger one is playing squash very seriously. So I'm saying, whatever it is that you want to do, I'm there.
Hey, but Munna has a squash court somewhere in Kalote. Munna is an Uddam Singh.
Yeah, I know.
Has she managed to go and do some coaching there?
No. She's doing a good coaching here at Goregaon Sports Club.
Wonderful.
Another friend of ours, Ritvik.
He's the one who runs it for Munna.
Yeah.
In Kalote.
Yeah,
They've got this court, Pooja and Munna have this court.
Correct.
And they're training some people.
Correct. So Ritvik told me, like, Aja idhar mein ke usko thoda sa, abhi she's very small. Let her grow up a bit, and I'll bring her up for advanced coaching, of course.
Okay, last few questions before we wrap. I'm going to take you back to your Channel V days, baby.
Oh, yes.
Do you have a memory of a concert that you attended in India or abroad, which is really cool? Tell us about that concert.
I've attended many concerts, but the one that springs out, oh my God, I would never forget it. Delhi, 1999, maybe 98.
Mid to late 90s.
Mid to late 90s. Sting in Delhi for the road show, and there was a sound check happening a day before the concert, and Ranveer and we were just crazy, because here we are in a t-shirt, we're trying to be cool and everything, and then Sting comes in with kurta and pajama on, thin muslin clothes, and he's just like that, and he's Sting, and he's just so divine and spiritual, and that smile, and we're hanging out with him, and then we're taking pictures, and then we go away, and then we're like, let's go again. So like two kids, we kept going back to Sting. It was just, we couldn't believe it. And of course the next day the concert happened, but the most memorable the fanboy moment, and Rolling Stones were there at that time. No Doubt was there at that time. A.R. Rahman, was fantastic on stage that time. Of course, the late Paji and, some fantastic artists. But that Sting moment was the moment. He sat on a chalky, boss. This, we're talking about, the pop star, the biggest pop star of all time. there was a chowki. He sat palti maar ke,
Because he does yoga.
and he did his concert palti maar ke. It was amazing, amazing just to see. And he sung all the great songs that he's known for, and some of the new ones. But I would never forget that. Like this, he sang with an erect spine. Fantastic.
Who's your favorite international artist, retro artist that you'd like to pick? You've said Sting, but somebody else?
I have a very uncanny fascination for Tom Waits. I don't know why. Because lots of times when he's talking, it's supposed to be that he's singing, but he's just talking too. He writes poetry that appeals to me. The way he says it, with his grainy voice and his drunken stupor, smoking, and then you're hearing, and you can hear when he's taking a puff, and you could hear the Jack Daniels speaking sometimes. But he's amazing. Tom Waits is my very close.
Have you seen him live?
No.
Would that be like your go-to concert that you like?
Yeah, but I don't think he does concerts anymore. He's a cynical beep guy. My kind of guy, yes.
Brother, I love you much.
Thank you. I love
And
you.
it's so wonderful to catch up, man. And
Here, I said it on air again.
Godspeed.
I love Hrishi K.
I love you too.
Ever and forever.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for this chat.